Hey crew, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, we are going to jump into summer themed projects. You all know, if you are longtime followers and subscribers, the summer is my favorite season. I love the tropical weather, the atmosphere, the longer days. You're able to get up and get out and just shirts, t-shirts, and shoes. You know, you don't have to bundle up like you have to do in the late fall and winter months. But the pattern I have selected to bring to life in today's video is from an older issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine by Fox Chapel Publishing. The full-size pattern is in the pattern pull-out section, and we've already got it photocopied and attached to our material with clear packing tape. And it is from Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine, Fall 2020, issue 80. So please be aware of that if you want to seek this pattern out and bring it to life. But the design we are going to be focusing on begins on page 51. And here you see a beautiful visual representation of what we are going to be cutting out over at the scroll saw. A lot of intricate details, so we will of course take our time and let the blade do the work. But it says hardwood sailing ship, make waves with a 5-layer vessel worthy of Blackbeard himself. You can see I'm decked out in a pirate shirt, and being the Artisan Pirate, of course, when I cut this out, it will indeed be a pirate ship. But the pattern is designed by Mr. Alex Fox, and the one cut and finished here in the magazine was cut by Mr. Rolfe. So thank you all for the beautiful and creative design here. I do believe over on the following page there is a brief article on how to go about making it with a parts list and a bio for both of the creators here. But as I said, the full-size patterns are in the pattern pull-out section, and everything has been photocopied. I'm going to be using 1/4 inch for everything, but just like in most 1/4 inch projects, we are going to stack cut and make 2 at one time and finish one visually in today's video. Here you see all of the patterns. Some of the patterns I photocopied on the printer were so big I had to do it in 2 passes and cut them out and line them up to the best of my abilities. But we have layer 1 here, and you see the ship's mast with the sails on it. You see layer 2 here. It gets a little bit more detail in it with the layers. You see the profile of the ship emerging there. 3 and 4 has the tabs that will go into the base, so we'll have to find a piece suitable to make the base out of. It'll probably be 3/4 inch pine in my case, but it could be anything if you are making this project. But you can see more of the detail pieces here. And then the 5th layer, the top layer, has the ocean waves. And again, we're going to stack cut and make 2 of them because some of these cuts are going to be very fragile once they are complete. So stack cutting adds some additional support to those fragile areas. So there you see the 2 layers taped together with clear packing tape. That's all I'm using to hold everything together here. A lot of people ask me, do I use any brad nails or anything? And I do not. But since everything is pretty much prepped and prepared, and I of course am ready for some warmer and summertime fun, let's move the camera over to the workbench so we can drill all the pilot holes required, so we can head over to the Rikon scroll saw and begin making some sawdust. And over here on the workbench, we're going to take the Seiko Scroller's drill and a tiny drill bit and drill out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And you'll note that I have a backer board behind the scroll saw work to prevent blowout of the pilot holes on the reverse side. And there is several internal cuts that will make up the beautiful details on this project, but once we get over to the Rikon scroll saw, we will take our time and get through them all. I am stack cutting through 2 layers of 1/4 inch material here, and I am using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade, and it will cut through the 2 layers of 1/4 inch material exceptionally well with minimal chip out. Beginning with the layer that has the minimal amount of internal cuts, and you can see it has a lot of those sharp V points in it where the sails connect together. And you all know how I achieve those tight V points over at the scroll saw. But I just have on some good music, and I am lost in my world of sawdust. When I seen this pattern when it originally came out, I knew that one day I would want to make it and bring it to life for you all to hopefully view and enjoy over here on the YouTube platform. And here on the close-up view, you all can see how I am tackling those sharp V points by going in one side of the V and backing the scroll saw blade back out while it is still running, and then going into the other side of the V, cutting through the waste wood to taper the point down to as fine a point as the pattern calls for. This layer here has a little bit more detail, and I like how once you layer them together, they create the beautiful visual 3D image of the ship out on the open sea. And again, because I am a pirate, this to me is a pirate ship. And here we have the very close-up view to give you all a bird's eye perspective of me at the scroll saw. I am using the chest mount, and I have the camera attached, to my chest, to where you all can see how or what I see when I am at the scroll saw. Still playing around with this camera angle here, trying to get it to where it is less shaky. I'm trying to be as still as possible while I am scrolling with it on. But I won't stay at this view for a long time, and pretty much all too soon it'll be time for the final internal cut, and then it will be time to retension the blade and release all of the pieces from the waste wood. Just taking my time and letting the blade do the work, and still using that number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel, and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And if you all would like to try this pattern, it's available in an older issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine by Fox Chapel Publishing. Thank you, Fox Chapel, for all of the amazing scroll saw patterns and magazines that you offer. But after all the scroll saw work is done, I'm removing all the pieces that will make up one of the ships, and I'll set the other piece aside, and we can now layer them together formally, and we'll get our first visual of what the finished design will look like. So really, really cool. But now it will be time to head over to sanding with 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper in the vibrating palm sander, and I'll sand very carefully the front and back side of all the pieces with small circular motions. And I'll clean off all of the excess sawdust. But before I move to staining the pieces, I want to mark for the base here out of the scrap piece of walnut I had. And I'm just eyeballing everything here. And we will have to drill a pilot hole to accept the tab. But before doing that, we will get everything stained with Minwax wood stain. I'll stain a couple of the layers a very light shade and the other layers a dark shade. That way it'll have two contrasting colors. And both shades I use are still light enough to not mask away the natural grains and textures of the material we cut out. But I'll hang all the pieces on hooks to dry after wiping off the excess. And while it is drying, we'll go about making our base. I begin by cutting out that slot that will accept the tabs on the scroll saw work. And this is 3/4 inch thick walnut, so it's just a little bit slower cut because it's a lot more denser than the 1/4 inch plywood. But then I'll cut it to its final size over at the Rikon table saw. And then I'll add a nice decorative round over profile over on the Craftsman router table. It'll just give the base a nice visual. But then it will be time to glue everything together. And for the glue up, I'll use medium grade CA glue and activator from Klingspor Woodworking Shop. And the glue basically dries and bonds instantly, allowing me to work quickly out in the workshop to make these videos for you all. But I'll still let it sit for around 5 minutes after everything is glued up to make sure that it has completely dried and cured completely. lining everything up to the best of my abilities. But then it was time to glue the ship to the base, and I figured out which way I wanted it, which way would look the best. And with more CA glue and activator, all of the glue up was complete, and all that was left to do was finish it with a few coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss. And this really made the natural grain textures of the materials we used in today's video pop and stand out. When it dried, the project was complete. And here we have the completed layered sailing ship design, cut out completely from start to finish over at the Rikon scroll saw, and it finished up beautifully and spectacularly with some very fragile and delicate details in it. Really, really cool. And because I am the Artisan Pirate crew, this of course to me is a pirate ship, but really, really beautiful. You can see how all 5 layers layer up to give it a beautiful simulated 3D effect. I feel like anytime you do a project like this, you need to, of course, during the prep work stages when you're getting everything ready, to make sure all the grain is in a uniform direction. I think that helps tie everything in together. You can see the grain is in one symmetrical look there, so really, really neat, trying to get all of those details in there, but really, really cool. I want to thank once again Mr. Alex Fox for a beautiful and creative scroll saw pattern, and I want to thank Mr. Rolfe for cutting the one in the magazine that I'll show you here momentarily as we get ready to close the video. It's an older issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine by Fox Chapel Publishing, but really beautiful, intricate design, and I'm going to say it's a very fragile design. That is why we stack cut and made 2 of them. I've got one laying here on the table saw that I'm getting ready to show you all some of the pieces, and I stack cut because it helps add some support to those fragile and delicate areas while you are scrolling over at the scroll saw. It took me around an hour and 45 minutes to scroll everything out completely from start to finish. I used my standard number 5 ultra reverse tooth blades, and of course I took my time and I let the blade do the work. And you can see here, hopefully the results speak for themselves, but really, really cool. The way I went about finishing it, again, it says hardwood sailing ship. You're supposed to use exotic or hardwoods and let those colors shine through. But since I have an ample supply of 1/4-inch material, and that's what I like to cut and teach with, I opted to stain the pieces once everything was cut out. And as always, I try to encourage people to think outside of the box when it comes to finishing things. I honestly, when I turned the camera on this morning to start filming this, I did not know how I was going to ultimately finish it up. I was thinking about it during the whole scrolling process, and I kept looking at the one in the magazine, and I liked how that one finished up. But again, I only have 2 different Minwax wood stains in the workshop at the time of the video's recording, so I just alternated them. I laid them out and I went light, dark, you know, or dark, light, you know, you can see the layers there. And then we used a piece of walnut for the base there, and we put a nice round over all the way around it, and I think it helps tie everything together. Of course, I didn't want the base to be too ornate. I didn't want the base to take away from the scroll work we had did over at the Rikon scroll saw. I of course was going to spray paint the pieces that had the sails in it white and then do everything else dark, but after I thought about it a lot and looked at it, I said no, I'm just going to stain it so that way the natural grains of the 1/4-inch material can still shine through, and hopefully that makes sense. And then the Rust-Oleum clear gloss we added at the end, you can see it reflected there in the lights of the workshop, really tied everything together and give it a nice glossy appearance. And it can easily sit on a shelf, desk, or countertop without teeter-tottering or wobbling around. Again, we've made some ships previously. If you have been following a while, we've made some tropical ship themed projects in the past. So once again, the fleet of ships in the collection continues to grow, so the pirate armada is getting bigger and bigger crew, but really, really cool. Once again, this design is featured in an older issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine by Fox Chapel Publishing. You can see the one that we have made today, and here you see the visual representation cut by Mr. Rolfe featured in the magazine. So hopefully I did the design justice, and hope the pattern designer, Mr. Alex Fox, is pleased with this design. Again, I'm always happy to make projects like this because it just shows the versatility of a scroll saw. And the full-size patterns are featured in the magazine in the pattern pull-out section. Each issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine has it, and there you see all 5 pieces we photocopied. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We photocopied them out here in the workshop. But again, due to the size of some of them, they were larger than a standard piece of computer paper. So I just done half and half and then cut them out and attached them together to the best of my abilities. But as I said, we stack cut in today's video, so we have another one here. So here you see one fresh off the scroll saw. It hasn't even been sanded up yet. And here you see a completed one. So hopefully this shows from fresh off the scroll saw to finished project what a little bit of time, practice, patience, and effort over at the scroll saw you can achieve. So really, really neat. And as I said, the reason I stack cut was to offer some support. A couple of these layers end up being very fragile. You can see this one here. This little point here, this little T-point is the only thing that's holding all of these pieces up here, the sails and the ropes and everything. And you can see how that could potentially break away. There's also another fragile area with this piece here at the very top here. Very fragile and could break. Again, just scrolling those extra layers helps add some support, and you basically get 2 projects, or 3 or 4 if you stack cut multiple layers, for the time it essentially takes to cut out one. But the layers are indeed very, very fragile, crew. But summertime fun is right around the corner, and I'm so happy to have made this and brought it to life visually over here on the YouTube platform for you guys to hopefully view, see, and enjoy. It's a little over a foot tall. I cannot wait to proudly display this with the rest of the ships in the fleet that we have made previously over here on the channel. But really, really cool. Hope you all had a lot of fun in today's video, and hope you are all looking forward to summertime fun here in 2026. One more look at it as we get ready to close the video. If you all have made this and finished it differently, please let me know. I'd be eager to see it, how you all finish a project out in your garages or workshops. But that's about all for this one, crew. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me, as well as all my social media feeds, will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, crew. And remember, if I can make it or do it, so can you all. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you all real soon.